I got a question for you, Nick.
Why did they kill Andy?
Did the actor not want to come back full time or something?
I don't even know. At first, I didn't even think it was the same actor until we get a real good look of his face.
Look, the first movie, which we both gave good reviews to, it wasn't much for plot.
Nope.
It wasn't much for characters. But the one plot dynamic that I liked was the brother dynamic. I was like, oh man, he's on this side of the law. He's on this side of the law. He's going to go back into the crime world. This dude's doing whatever. I want to see their ongoing adventures. My hopes and dreams killed off just like him in the first 5 minutes of the new movie.
Oh, yeah. And you want to know why? Because I'm assuming he wanted to rise up in ranks from the sounds of what the bad guy was saying to him.
I think so. It was the cause and effect. It was based on what had happened in the first movie. They found out about it and I guess thought that he was being too ambitious or something, or that
it really didn't make too much sense.
So it's there to motivate Rama to accept joining this group.
To look for dirty cops, not even for the people who killed his brother.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we only get that plot point twice in the whole fucking movie.
Yeah. It becomes a very specific case. An ongoing, lifelong pursuit, apparently.
But, yeah, where we get this little... Probably talk about this little bridge gap from part 1 to part 2.
Well, we have to kill off the one old dude from the first one.
Yes.
Because, as one guy says, I mean, if he's kept around, he's probably going to get Rama in trouble or escape whatever and have Rama killed later on. So you might as well take him out now. I don't think they had the actor back because they never show his face.
They just shot someone with gray hair.
Just shot the shit out of him and said he's dead. So we had a random guy coming in basically be like, hey, Rama.
Join us.
And I'm immediately feeling like, oh, this movie's taking a different direction. I was expecting I'll say this up front. I'm happy they didn't do the exact same thing as part 1. It didn't have to be the same format where it's like, Rama, there's a new building you have to go into to siege. Like, you didn't have to do that. Would be kind of coincidental.
Well, to be fair, when it got to this part, I was thinking, oh, because when I first watched the movie, I did not look at the time frame. So when I got to this point, when we got here, I was like, oh, they're cutting out a lot of the meat so that way we can get to the action.
No. If they're cutting out the meat, then
because I was thinking, Rama says no. He goes about his daily life, gets attacked a couple of times, and then for the safety of his family, then joins them. That's what I thought was going to happen, but no, we automatically cut to 3 years later in prison.
I know it's simplistic, but I just need to give us a new bad guy, have some circumstance force Rama and his brother to join forces again to take out the new bad guy, and then again they go back to their separate lives. Just give me 5 movies of that, and then I can be good. But,
well, originally there was supposed to be a part 3.
You know what's funny too is it's the fact that this is one of those series where the first movie has a subtitle and not the second one. You would think it's The Raid and then The Raid Part 2 Redemption. But it's the opposite. It's The Raid Redemption and then The Raid 2.
I'm still trying to figure out who's getting redeemed in the first one.
Yeah, what the hell? That was
this one feels more like a redemption story than
that was
Raid
Redemption. That's like a random horror movie sequel where they just have to have that stupid the revenge of, the return of. They have to have some subtitle because how does Redemption fit into that first movie?
I don't know. Andy, maybe? I don't know. He didn't really get redeemed at the end. He just decided to go back to a life of crime.
This one being called Redemption would have made more sense.
Yes.
Because he's redeeming his brother's killer, sort of.
Redeeming his brother's honor. Having to redeem his own honor because guess what? Unlike most undercover cops, this dude actually had to commit a crime to get into jail.
Yeah. And this, so I think you may have mentioned it, but this whole beginning of the movie reminds me of The Departed. Big time. Because that movie opens with Leonardo DiCaprio basically going to prison as undercover cop.
Yeah, but the problem with that is he didn't have to commit a real crime to get into prison.
They could have staged something.
Just like they usually do in order to get him in there. So that way the cop is not later then sent to prison actually because he committed a crime. Problem is, Rama is not really a hero at the end of this because he's just going to be sent away because he committed an actual crime at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, this is very nitpicky, so I'm gonna put on my nitpick Nick hat for a second. I know his brother was killed, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna do this now, but with a wife and a kid at home, I don't know if he actually would. I don't know if anybody would actually agree to what he's agreeing to here.
Well, originally he was only expected to be away for a few months.
Yeah, but then you're trusting like
a man you never met before who literally just straight up killed somebody in front of you. So it's not like he's in the right.
I mean, plus you remember the movie Face Off? What if like the dude shows up to your prison like
with your face?
With your face.
Even though my face is still
I
on
burned
me.
all the evidence that shows you're me and I'm you. All right. That's a for another Face Off podcast. So then I'm like, not knowing anything about this movie, I'm just like, oh, is this gonna be like this whole movie's gonna be in prison? This is a prison movie? Because that I was not looking forward to.
Well, neither would I.
But I thought it was gonna be a prison movie at that point.
Prison escape movie, and then part 3 is the actual movie we were supposed to see.
Yeah, but Rama escaping like Shawshank Redemption at the end. There's no bad guy, it's just about him getting out of prison and getting a new identity.
Yeah, well, in this one, when we finally see him after 3 years, he gets into a fight in a bathroom.
So nothing's changed, Rama. You're still a violent human being, man. You're supposed to go to prison and calm down.
Well, at the very least, he decided to keep himself in a narrow area so only like 1 or 2 people can come at him at a time.
Yeah, so, I mean, we have the same director back in the first one. We have, obviously, the same actor plays Rama. You'll never hear me diss the director because the director knows how to put on an amazing movie, especially the fight choreographer also, which I think is actually the Mad Dog actor, isn't it?
He choreographed both movies.
And I guess in the contract was I have to be in both movies as an actor also.
Let's talk about him for a second because it's such a short amount of time. He's only in it for a total of, 5 minutes?
I would say 15, 20 minutes.
Either way.
That could have been taken out.
Yeah, I feel like this could have been taken out because it feels like a completely different movie when you first see him. Almost like a horror movie almost because he comes at him with a machete and just starts killing people. Including that shot where he puts the machete through the guy.
I mean, the other thing too is, this is the same universe. He's really not disguised. He looks exactly like the same person from the first movie. So there's a thought at first like, did this dude live? Because he looks the same.
What we didn't see is underneath that bushy beard, he actually had a giant scar across his neck.
Yeah, I mean...
He probably still had that PCP pipe.
Yeah, the recasting an actor for a different role in the next sequel, it's always pretty tricky. But, I don't know. It'll get into a bigger problem I have with just about... There's so much plot thrown at us, so many characters thrown at us, so much going on. You end up kind of missing the simplicity of the first movie.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty much you just brought this up. It kind of feels like the downfall of what I feel like John Wick's 2 and 3 were for me. 'Cause I didn't care for those 2 movies.
I don't think anybody liked John Wick Part 3.
No, there's a lot of people who did, actually.
Part 3?
Yeah.
Well, it's maybe so. I think they're all considered good movies, but I think 3 is definitely the least popular.
This I'm just going to call him Mad Dog. I don't feel like calling him Precoso. But Mad Dog, literally all his scenes could have been taken out and this movie would not have been any different. Because you got this whole thing with Ucho, who says, oh, well, now we have to revenge Precoso. Well, that didn't go anywhere.
Nope.
So why the fuck are we even care about this?
We don't.
Okay, so future movies, that could have been taken out and this movie would have been 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
Yeah, and then you have other things that are like, there's so many scenes where like the villain is just having dialogue with somebody, either his henchman or someone else, and not all of them feel necessary per se.
You know, with the way they shot the ending, I feel like we were supposed to somehow feel for the relationship between Ucho and Rama, and I'm just like, Rama don't like this dude. There's no way he does because this guy is a maniac.
Yeah, I didn't get into that at the end because they embrace in a hug, but then he pushes the knife in deeper. I took Rama as basically like, will you fucking die?
Yeah, right.
It's like, stop hugging me and die. He stabs him harder.
Yeah, but
I didn't get any sympathy.
like the karaoke scene, we're supposed to. In movies like this probably would have been the first breaking point of showing this character is slightly insane, but we already got that in the prison.
Yeah.
So we don't really need all this time frame to see this guy go down when we already knew he was insane.
Yeah. And I mean, even like, I mean, I hate to say, because I've said I know people love brutality, right? But I don't need to be seeing like people's throats getting slit one by one while the dude's talking to someone else. It's just kind of like, it's like, it's kind of uncomfortable.
Oh, did you notice that the tattoo on the last guy?
Yeah.
Was the same as the guy who was making them slit the throats.
Yeah, that's what it was like. Yeah, because the dude looked at him like, "Hey, can I get some help here?" Nah,
it's like, nah.
Sorry, buddy. I can't.
You're a dead one.
And I can't believe I'm saying this stuff because like I'm using action movies. I'm looking for like action movies that have like characters and plots. So usually I want more of that stuff. So it's complete for me to prefer the first one. It's a complete. I'm even shocked because I'm like, man, I like that simplicity of like, because the first one you're just like, okay, the one complaint would be like, there's no story here. They're just in the building, but this movie makes me miss that. I'm like, man, I long for those days.
Well, it's because this movie tries to throw so much at you with characters that honestly you don't care for. If you care for the characters, the movie would have been a little better, and if the whole situation actually made some damn sense.
Well, even Rama, I mean, I feel like when he calls home to his wife and he's like, can I, whatever with the child, it's like, I understand you're supposed to feel something there,
but I don't.
But I'm just thinking like, listen, man.
Just get some fights.
You're a terrible husband, a terrible father. I don't care if you don't think it was your fault. You're terrible.
I mean, I do.
It didn't connect with me.
It didn't connect, but I do understand why Rama's there because the guy that's supposed to be his handler tells him, like, oh, yeah, well, your family's going to be killed if you don't join us.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, but Rama stays in prison for 5 years without
amazing.
any actual contact.
I think the mother would have been, or the wife would have just been like,
where the hell's my husband at?
Everyone, she would have been like really like causing problems with people and just been like, someone better give me some answers.
Could you imagine Raid 2, but following the wife comes to find out she's the one who trained Rama how to fight and she's beating everyone's ass.
The Raid 2 redemption. His wife redeeming him.
Right. That'd actually be pretty interesting.
Training with Uma Thurman from Kill Bill. If she had to come save him, that would actually be a very interesting storyline.
Oh yeah, but instead,
like, I picture this. The whole movie is her like hunting down people, killing them, right? She saves Ram at the end, right? And the closing line, Ram looks at her. He's like, who's watching the baby? And she's like, shit.
Oh no, she'd just be like, oh, Grandpa is. Here's another reason why I don't care for Ucho as a character. He's stupid. It could be because he's insane, but Rama literally hides a wire in the big flap of his wallet.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes him until the end to actually find the wire.
How dumb is Rama's superior who's like, he even calls him out. He's like, listen, the first day out of prison, you have me wearing a wire.
Yeah,
it's the first thing they're going to look for. And he's like, on the first day? It's like, if I'm Rama, I'm just like, I'm not listening to these people anymore.
He should have just cut it out because hell, the bad guys even gave him or not even the bad guy, Bangoon even gave him a way out. It's like, yeah, you can stay with us or you can go, but now we know at this point it's like, now we know I have a feeling I can trust you can leave. And I mean, that scene was a little awkward but kind of funny when the old man was just like, well, what's the worst that can happen? If you have nothing to be worried about, the worst that's going to happen is an old man sees your cock.
That was kind of funny. There's some bad dialogue sprinkled throughout, and there's some good lines, but it's not really consistent.
Like the porn shop scene.
That was funny.
That whole thing was fucking hilarious.
Unnecessary, but definitely funny.
That whole thing was hilarious because, like, all of a sudden you hear the girl getting mad and she walks out with the strap on. I'm like, okay.
My favorite two new characters are definitely the Bat Guy and the
Hammer Girl.
I wish somebody would just give this guy the ball, but he's asking for it. But
what's bad is we kind of get a little bit off of them, a little bit more than we get from anyone else. the minute her glasses get knocked off and you see one of her eyes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, she got shot in the eye.
Yeah.
Or stabbed in the eye. Either way, she's blind in one eye. She's deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming the bat dude's probably just her brother.
They definitely care for each other because the bad dude reacts strongly when
he goes
Rama kills her.
He goes insane.
That scene was actually amazing to me because, like, at certain points he actually really hits him.
Oh, yeah.
And you see Rama, like, react like, oh, shit. Like, you can't fake some of that stuff. I mean, he was getting hit with a bat, and, like, they had to keep going with the scene. But, yeah, he was pissed off. And it is amazing to think about how they even, like, sit down and choreograph that. It's like, he's swinging the bat full speed at his head, and dude has to, like...
Another thing, did you notice he was swinging the bat almost like it was a sword instead of a bat?
Yeah.
Because the girl was swinging those hammers like they were hammers, like pickaxes almost. But the way the man was swinging it was as if he had a sword in his hand.
Yeah, it's one thing with, like, the Jackie Chan stunt choreography where it's like if things go wrong, it could be really bad. But some of these scenes, like, man, if things go wrong, someone's dying for sure. Like, if someone gets hit in the head with this bat, it's like, that was a great scene. Like I said, the action scenes for me were all landed. They were all fantastic. The saving grace of this movie is the action scenes.
Problem is, that's not even half this movie.
And a 2 hour and 45-minute movie, or 2 hour and 30-minute movie, you're right. There's a lot of dialogue and a lot of character stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, half of it we did not need. Especially since we already don't like Ucho. So no one cares about the little arc of him going insane.
Yep.
To the point where he finally kills his dad.
Yep.
No one cares about Beijo, really, except for the fact he killed Andy.
Well, there was no payoff because I would have thought that wouldn't Rama at least get revenge on him directly? Like,
you'd think.
He should be the one to kill him.
Yeah, but the movie decided to subvert your expectation because they expected you to actually... I feel like they wanted you to actually still care about the relationship between Rama and Ucho. So when the ending came and Ucho's the one who kills Beijo, it's like, why?
Yeah.
And also...
I wanted there to be a revenge for his brother, and that never really came to pass.
Well, here's another...
It was forgotten about.
Here's another thing that kind of ticks me off. They mention on 2 occasions that he's there to look for crooked cops. He doesn't care about the crime family. Mm-hmm. That's up for the other police. You want to explain to me why we only see like one crooked cop this whole movie?
Yeah. You would think it'd be like they'd be all over the place since they have a special unit to take them down, but apparently they're not that. They're busy over... Denzel's over there doing the movie Train Day, so they're busy. So
also, I want to bring up one more complaint before I get into pretty much my positives of this movie besides just the fighting, which... is still all my positives. Is Ekka's character. Come find out at the end, he's just like him. He literally says at the beginning, so he knew who Rama was.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, he gave us a bad call and got 10 police officers killed. It's like, then you pull him out if you can't trust him. You don't leave him there.
Yeah.
What kind of undercover guy is this? He kind of sucks.
That is kind of, yeah.
It's like, not to mention, he didn't go rogue by giving you bad intel. If he went rogue, that means he gave you false intel to get you in an ambush.
Yeah.
Bad intel is him not knowing the ambush was going to happen. First positive is definitely that car chase scene in this.
Fantastic.
I'm not really a big fan of car chase scenes, believe it or not, even though I watched the Fast and Furious movies. Let that sink in. Just let it sink into your skin a little, maybe down the muscle a little and the sinew. So then it can go up to your brain after the heartbeat pumps that bit of information into your brain and you go, huh?
That you like the Fast and Furious movies? Why would that even be surprising? I mean,
because I don't care. Because believe it or not, I find car chase scenes for the most part to be pretty boring. Most of the time because they go on so long.
Yeah. I think when a movie does something different with it or unique, though, it's like fantastic.
Like this one, it's not just the car chase, but it's also Rama fighting in the back seat.
Yes.
With some Indonesian pop star and someone who looks like Shakira on a bad day, Miss Jackson. I don't know.
The thing I like about car chase scenes, generally speaking, they are action scenes where a lot of it sometimes is practical because they want to show the cars chase.
Right.
So other action scenes, you can kind of be like, oh God, CGI fest. But, you know, you can kind of tell in a car chase, like, okay, that's, something's, maybe it's not the actual actors driving, but
Right.
these cars are getting destroyed. So I appreciate that part of car chases.
Oh, yeah. And this one was a little bit, like I said, interesting just with the extra fight scene in it. Even though it doesn't make sense that he had enough room to bounce around the way he did. It's not like he was fighting in a Hummer or whatever Jeep they use in Urban Legends.
Well, since we've now seen the Fast and Furious movies, every car chase scene seems realistic compared to that.
I mean, that's fair. The previous one had a plane crashing into a car and the guy survived.
Here's how ridiculous the Fast and Furious movies are. Nothing in the Raid movies has convinced me that if Rama walks into a room with Dominic Toretto, you can't convince me the doors lock, last man alive's coming out. Still Dominic Toretto coming out that room with all that I've seen Rama do. For some reason, I still see the door popping open and Vin Diesel walking out.
No, what it's going to be is the pops open, Vin Diesel walking out with Rama around his arms like, family.
I was going to kill him, but I decided to invite him to the picnic instead.
Right.
Yeah.
He loves Coors Light.
If he came out the room with the Rama on his shoulders, if you had Tyrese and Luna just be like, how? No, how? I laugh myself.
At least we're getting Rama. At least we're getting Nico and Expendables 4 instead.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Which comes out next month.
Even better, we get to see Sylvester Stallone beat up Rama. That's going to be a career low light.
No, I feel like it's just going to be sticking with Jason Statham and him fighting.
Yeah, even that I have to, after watching the movie, I have to believe that Jason Statham is going to take out Rama. I wish he was the good guy, not the bad guy, because
that is fair.
Because you know he has to go down.
Yeah, but the problem, what they're going to do, actually, this is what they're going to do for that one. So Eco is fighting Jason Statham. Mm-hmm. I mean, and the trailer already showed a little bit of Eco actually getting a cut on his face from Statham.
Yep.
And that's when Eco then goes full Rama on him, beats his ass. Sylvester Stallone jumps in, turns into a 2-on-1, but Statham is still weakened from the fight. Mm-hmm. And Stallone's an old man, so again, Rama beats their asses, and then fucking Jet Li just drops dead and beats Rama's ass.
I like to think so, and that's the way to go. But I see more like Rama beating his ass, and then the Rocky music plays. Stallone gets up and says, "Yo, Adrian!" And then hits him with a 1-2 knockout punch, and Rama just flies across the room. So when we saw Stallone beat up Jean-Claude Van Damme at the end of Expendables 2 or 3, I mean, come on, man. That's
at least Jason Statham and Scott Adkins had a good fight scene.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about this last fight scene between. This guy was never given a name, by the way. He's just called the Assassin.
Props to the kitchen staff for
just
realizing what's going on and be like, we don't get paid enough for this.
No, they don't.
Go ahead and leave the room. So how awkward would have been if they just were like, we're going to go over and watch. Stand in the corner and watch. You guys do what you do. So.
No, even funnier is the fact that they walked out nonchalant as if they still thought they had jobs.
That's true, too.
They don't have jobs anymore.
One of them, as they're walking out, one of them just had let in line. Like someone was just like, I heard Applebee's is hiring. Again, not too much comedy in these movies, but.
Well, yeah, but that's still pretty good. And then we get this fight scene where Rama is ideally beating the hell out of the assassin played by Sisip. I don't know how to say his whole name.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, it's probably the same as you. Was like, didn't we just watch the assassin just one hand knockout almost Rama earlier in the movie?
Oh, and let me mention also, one scene we have to get a shot to is just the whole Rama versus the Bat Guy and Hammer Girl scene.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I don't know
we already brought it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I just love how brutal was what happened to the Bat Guy. That was just...
The bat just going in his face so much, and all of a sudden...
Oh.
And the bat stays in his face.
Ouch.
Yeah, this movie has some gore in it.
It's the the Raid movies are more brutal than most horror movies. There's no question. The death scenes in the Raid movies are way more severe than any horror movie I've seen.
And I'm telling you, Mad Dog, that first scene with Mad Dog, honestly felt like I just watched a short Jason going after a group of teenagers.
Homeless Jason.
Yeah, homeless hitman Jason.
Homeless hitman Jason.
And we even got a pretty cool shot when he pulls out the machete, the body falls, and we just see Percosa through the hole in the wood.
I'll say this. I love the kitchen fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was the expectations, because I had read some reviews of the movie, I think a couple weeks ago, and like
everyone says
each review said it's the best fight scene in the history of the world. I just wish I hadn't heard that, because then I'm coming into it with like way too high expectations for this to actually meet those expectations, because it's a great scene, but in my brain I was thinking, all right, here comes the best fight scene ever, and I don't think it was that. Although, to be fair, nothing really comes to mind that's better. I just wasn't like as blown away as I.
For me, the Mad Dog versus Rama and Andy was better than this one.
I agree, but everybody calls this one the best fight scene ever. No one says that one's, but I agree. That one was more interesting.
No, I like this one, but it is, for the most part, one-sided, at least until you get to the knives. Then they're both cutting each other up, and you got the added intensity of the music just getting a little bit louder and more powerful as each hit is connecting. You got the fact that their heads are being slammed into the freaking oven, it seems like. No, it's a great fight scene, and I loved every second of it, including up to the end where all it was them just cutting each other up. They weren't even trying to dodge it anymore, it seemed like.
Hypothetically, what say you to this? And these two, both equipped with knives. On the other side, Tom Lee Jones, Benicio del Toro, they're two characters from The Hunted. All-out knife fight.
It would be these two. Here's the reason why. Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro, they were slow. The movie, I wouldn't say slow per se, but it just felt more realistic. I mean, I'm sorry, this is not a real fight scene we're watching in this movie. It's just an extremely well done choreographed scene.
In these kind of movies, like, because knife fighting is a very specific skill.
Yeah.
But in these movies, like, if Rama can fight, then if you give him a knife, now suddenly he's like an expert knife person also. It's just like built in. Or if he had gotten a sword in his hand, suddenly he would be an expert sword person. That's how the movies are.
Right.
In that world, basically, it's like we've trained with knives for the last 20 years. Tom Lee Jones running throughout the entire movie as a 75-year-old chasing Benicio.
He was not 75
throughout
in that
the
movie.
Entire town. The only thing unrealistic about the movie was him chasing him through town without stopping to be like, I'm too old for this shit. Anyways.
So you agree that was still a good fight scene at the end of that movie, though?
I really want to go back and give that movie 1.5 stars. I fear that I may have given it a good review, but in hindsight...
Didn't you give it like a 2?
Hopefully. I don't know. Folks, in the archives, The Hunted podcast, go back and check it out. Check out the movie, too. It's more, as Nick said, a realistic knife fighting endeavor.
And the two actors in that movie was trained by actual knife, like martial artists, to do the knife fight themselves.
Most of Tom Lee Jones' training was him running on the treadmill.
Most likely.
He's going to be doing a lot of running. He wasn't in good cardio shape, but most of his training was just getting in shape. So.
Well, notice how his running was more of a brisk jog.
That running was not going to catch any criminals. Benicio was like 2 miles ahead, being like, man, if this guy's chasing me on foot, this is going to be like the movie It Follows. I can just
fuck that
get
movie.
away from it. So
That is the worst movie. No, The Village is the worst. No, Freddy vs. Jason is the worst. No, Scream 4 is the worst.
The Village isn't that bad. I don't know.
That one, again, expectations.
Yeah, that you got to revisit and be like, all right. If you go in with the idea of like, okay, everybody hates this movie, is it that bad? Then you're like, no, it's not that bad.
No, you have to go in knowing it's not a horror movie like the trailers showed it was.
Yeah.
It is a damn period piece love story.
Yeah.
With some bland ass characters.
I don't know, man, but there is a mystery component to that works at first, but then you get the end and you're like, oh man, but on the first watch, I was like, it's not that bad.
On my first watch, I was bored out of my mind because I was expecting a horror movie, like the trailers were showing.
Yeah, but Shyamalan always does more of a build up to some kind of twist ending. So
I would have been fine with that as long as there was blood.
Sixth Sense is the only thing he did that even hinted at horror, I'd say.
I would have been fine with that as long as there was blood. And no, he did The Visit. That's a found footage horror film.
What if The Raid was a horror movie about bugs infesting an apartment and the guys have to like get as much raid as possible to take out the bugs? The Raid. There's some C-level horror movie in here in this title somewhere. It just hasn't been done yet. You probably have to get the rights from Raid.
But yeah, so the ending is Ucho kills Beijo and Reza. I know I never mentioned Reza because fuck you.
But where does Shredder come in?
Shredder. So Shredder,
because these names sound like it's a Ninja Turtles movie.
Shredder was originally going to come in part 3.
Where's Toka and Razor and
so like I said, Shredder was originally supposed to come into part 3. Rama was going to have to team up with some other characters in order to fight Shredder.
Some heroes on a half shell.
Yes, and
there's a lot of pizza involved.
Definitely a lot of pizza. Just no pineapple on those pizzas.
What? 2 things in life that people hate that I don't understand. Freddy's dead. Pineapples on pizza. They're both not that bad, man. Come on.
First off, pineapples do not go on pizza.
What you put on your pizza is up to the person.
Okay, can I put a human on my pizza?
If you're feeding Hannibal Lecter, yes, he's gonna appreciate that. Me personally, no.
Can I put cockroaches on my pizza? It's extra protein.
It might be someone's cup of tea, just not my cup of tea. But comparing pineapples to cockroaches and human beings, come on, man.
No,
get out.
Pineapple is the cockroach on a pizza.
I don't even like pineapples, but I had a Hawaiian style pizza one time. But we put it was actually just chicken and pineapple though. All right, so again, this is surprising to me. I mean, I would have thought that introducing more plot, more characters, more story would have been a plus, and in most cases it is a plus. But it's like the first movie, the first Raid is like a cheese pizza, right? And you eat the cheese pizza, you love cheese pizza, but you're like, man, some toppings would be nice, right? But then it's like someone brings you a new pizza, but they've put on 15 toppings.
It's called a dump pizza, sir.
Oh, is that what it is? A dump pizza?
A dump pizza where you literally put everything on it.
Yeah, it's like you wanted 1 or 2 toppings, but then they brought you a dump pizza, and you're like, oh my god, there's so many flavors here. I can't even taste the cheese, sauce, and bread anymore. This feels like a dump pizza, but it's like a dump pizza where the toppings, all these toppings, are still on an amazing cheese, sauce, and bread. And the cheese, sauce, and bread is like the action. So the action's still amazing, but it's like has all these unnecessary toppings on it. Pineapple not being one of them because that's very necessary.
Don't listen to Vic.
I like the movie. I would advise everybody to watch this movie for sure one time. But on rewatches, I find that probably what I'll do is just watch the action scenes on YouTube. I don't feel like I need to rewatch the entire movie because I would be fast forwarding to the action scenes. So it's one of those movies. But it makes me feel a lot like how I felt about John Wick 4, which I liked it a lot, but I was like, man, you could just shave off 15, 20 minutes and have a much better movie. It made me miss, again, I missed part 1, the simplicity. I missed the brother dynamic. The brother dynamic, as thin as it was, felt more emotionally impactful than anything in this movie. So I'm going to go 3 stars, but it's like a light 3 stars, not a strong 3 stars. I'd definitely recommend to watch it for sure. The action scenes are the saving grace. It's getting the 3 stars based on the action, but I do prefer the first one.
Kind of to piggyback off of what Vic said, is the action scenes is definitely the best part of this movie. They're fun. They're fun to watch, fun to look at, and they're directed amazingly. The music definitely adds all the intensity to the fights as well. Not to mention you got some stuff that you really haven't seen before, and you got stuff that you have, but it's still done correctly. Mm-hmm. The part that I have to give this movie a 2.5 over is that the story bogs a lot down. A lot of stuff could have easily been taken out, and the movie still be the damn same.
Demolition Man.
And honestly, you just didn't care for the character. If I cared for the characters, this would have been a 3 for me, but no, the story brings this movie down, and when I see a 2.5 hour movie, it needs to have that story, needs to have good characters, and I didn't get shit like that. So 2.5 stars for the action, the music, the choreography, and the directing. Everything else goes downhill.
Reason I said Demolition Man because Nick's on a run here. 2.5 stars of Terminator 2. 2.5 stars of The Raid 2. These are two of what's considered the top 10 action movies of all time. And this man just throwing out 2.5 stars. I love it, though. Everybody has their own opinion. It's all subjective.
I mean, I almost went with 2
How
stars.
am I giving The Raid a higher rating than you? That's pretty bonkers, actually.
To be fair, I almost gave it 2 stars, but then I was like, nah, that's not realistic.
I think that everybody has to understand that. And Nick grades on a curve, so 2.5 for him is actually the rest of the world's 3 stars. So,
I don't grade on a curve.
He does. This man feels like a movie has to earn his 3 stars, unless it's called The Fan, in which case he just throws it out.
That movie earned it.
That was a very charitable 3 stars he threw out.
Tremors didn't even earn the 3 stars.
I mean, the list is building now. Tremors, Terminator 2, The Raid 2. This man's shooting his credibility in the foot every week with each article podcast.
Oh, just wait until next week.
Bloodsport. I think we're going to like that movie. I don't know. People love that movie. I don't know.
Well, I'm not people.
Yeah, you hate everything. Then, so. No, but I think it's more of a classic fighting movie, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm looking forward to next week. We're doing Bloodsport, and that'll end our action movie August. Want to do some Van Damme movie, and we've already done Hard Target. So there was like Bloodsport, Kickboxer, but then I was like, later on, I'm gonna do some kind of like full-blown Kickboxer series retrospective, so I'm saving it for that. So it was really like Bloodsport, Lionheart, but Bloodsport seems to hold a special place in Van Damme fans' hearts. Like it's always ranked number 1 on Van Damme movies. And I like Hard Target a lot. So if it's better than Hard Target, I'll be actually surprised.
So did you know there's actually a gender swapped Bloodsport in a sense, where it's all females fighting it? It's called Lady Blood Fight.
Really?
Yep. And it has.
Let me guess. Starring Jenny Van Damme.
No.
Oh.
Starring Amy Johnston.
Amy Jo Johnson?
No.
Oh.
Johnston with a T.
She's not the Pink Power Ranger.
Nope. And the reason
my interest has declined.
The reason I bring it up is because she actually had a pretty good. She used to be on YouTube. She used to do fight choreography scenes. One of them actually, I think, went viral, which was her doing a 5-on-1 fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually really good. I've watched it, and it's actually a pretty decent movie.
Well, all right, folks. Next week, Bloodsport, so we'll see you then. But in the meantime, let us know what you think. Interesting enough, I mean, The Raid 2 is ranked higher on IMDb than The Raid 1, so the opinion we're giving today is not the popular opinion. People actually think The Raid 2 is better than The Raid 1.